What is up, MMA gamers? We are back. This is the July 1st Sean Strickland versus Albus Magomedov full fight breakdown. Okay, I'm going to start the first fight of the night. We got Alexander Romanov versus Blagoy Ivanov, and this is kind of an interesting fight. It's one of those fights where the loser, I think, is probably going to get cut. So let's start with Alexander Romanov. His last two performances were against Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura, which he lost both to a decision. He has notable wins against Chase Sherman, Jared Vandera, and Marcus Rogerio de Lima, who was fighting Derek Lewis, I believe, on the Justin Gaethje card and Dustin Poirier card. Um, Good fighter, decent fighter. He was undefeated until he went up against Alexander Volkov and Marcin Tybura, but a lot of people were saying that his cardio was off. He didn't have that great of a cardio, and he just expended himself so long. He was grabbing on the single legs repeatedly against Alexander Volkov, and that was his downfall, and that's why he lost. And for chances of winning, I would like to give Romanov a huge chance of winning this fight. I give him a 75% chance of winning, and this is why I believe so. Romanov's key to victory for this fight is to look for a takedown and set it up well. Blagoy, he's only been sub one time in his MMA career, but from the look of Romanov's accolades, he could definitely get the tap or could look for a major control time to get that UD. Um, Now looking at Blago Ivanov, notable wins. He beat Ben Rothwell, Tai Tuivasa, Marcus Rogerio de Lima. They have a similar opponent in that. And important losses: Derek Lewis, Augustus Sakai, Marcin Tybura. Um, for chances, 25%. That's what I believe. Beating Romanov, because from looking at Blago's UFC record for the past 5 years, he's been in the promotion. He's fought 7 opponents, going 3-4, yet to have a finish. But this shows he could last and defend himself for the full 15 minutes. Now, the fight. Let's get to the fight. The stylistic matchup. Romanov is great on the ground. He could take anyone down with his setups. Blago Ivanov, he's good in the stand-up and throws a lot of feints and makes opponents second guess their moves. And even Derek Lewis couldn't even finish him. The most prolific finisher in UFC history couldn't even finish him. And for the prediction, I predict Romanov, he gets it done in the second round, arm triangle or rear naked choke. I predict Blagoy has not fought anyone in the 7 fights in the UFC career with an offensive ground game, and Romanov is exactly that. And the job down before the third. I think he gets the job done for the third for sure. I guarantee it. My opinion. There's a problem with the heavyweights. There's a big problem with the heavyweights. A lot of them cannot keep a consistent win streak, and it's a problem. They win to each other, they lose to each other, and it's really hard to find contenders. Like these guys, they're 14th and 15th in the world, and these are really the only guys at heavyweight. There's really nobody at heavyweight fighting for a ranking. It's really hard. There's only probably 2 or 3 guys. It's not a huge division, and it's one of the least exciting divisions in the UFC. So that's my opinion. It's kind of sad, but it's just the sport, and it's their own fault. None of them can get a win streak. It's quite surprising. All right, we move on to second fight on the prelims. Ivana Petrovic versus Luana Carolina. Ivana Petrovic, this is her UFC debut, making her UFC debut. How will they win or lose? The only way I think she will lose is by a close decision or something strange, but there are many opportunities for her to win, and probably by finish. And chances of winning, I don't even have a percentage. I just think it's very high, closest to 100%. Um, uh, Now we got to move on to Luana Carolina. This is why I believe she's going to lose. Uh, she lost to Molly McCann and Joanna Wood, and she has a notable win against Priscilla Cachuela, but that was a long time ago, and I think that was a decision. Chances of winning very slim. How is she going to win or lose? I think it's either a TKO loss or a decision win. That's the only way she's going to win if she finds it. Um, Now the fight, stylistic mashup. Luana is a pressure fighter and throws a lot. That's her thing. She's not technical at all. Um, she gets on the ground. She scrambles for submission attempts. She just goes for submission attempts. She doesn't really get that much control. But I said Ivana is more of a wrestling heavy ground and pound fighter. And she looks to look for that rear naked choke. Prediction: Ivana's going to get the fight to the ground, tire out Luana, and get the sub or TKO. My opinion, I said this fight to save Luana's career. She's on a 2-fight losing streak, and she had a hard time creating a win streak in the UFC. And she was on the bad end of one of the most arguable, um, beautiful knockouts in women's MMA history with the Molly McCann spinning at elbow, absolutely insane. And um, we gotta see what she's gonna do. I think her next option would be just go back to the UFC Fight Pass, go back to Invicta and FC, fight with those lower ranked girls. I think that's her best option. But next fight, we got Guram Kutadze versus Elvis Brenner. Star Guram, his last performance was a loss against Damir Ismagulov. He's the guy in the co-main event. And his most notable win was against Matush Gamrot. That fight, I was looking at the stats to that fight. It is absolutely insane how he won that fight. You break it down round by round, absolutely insane. I don't believe he should have got the decision at all. Um, he arguably won one round and then got controlled, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This fight right now against Elvis Brenner, this is the most important thing. And I said if he could find the KO, he could definitely get the win. But where he's gonna lose it would be the control time in the wrestling department. I said his chance of winning 70%. Elvis Brenner, last performances against Zubari Thuguov, it was a win. He beat him in Abu Dhabi by a split decision. Um, how is he going to win? He's got to find a way to control Guram. He really does. If he could win, if he were to lose, it would be by TKO for sure. Chance of winning, 30%. The fight, lightweight matchup. Elvis is good at not getting taken down, and he goes for shots. He goes for shots himself. And Guram is a good striker, and he has the ability to sit somebody down, and also has a subpar takedown defense. Because if you just look at the stats against Matush Gamrot, he got taken down double digit amount of times. I think it was 16 times, or I don't even know. It was wild the amount. And my prediction though will be Guram by second round TKO. All right, next fight we have here: Yana Santos versus Cara Rosa, women's featherweight. Who knows? Maybe one of these guys can fight for the belt at women's featherweight. No, no, fuck that shit. That division is dead. It's fucking dead. Um, Last performances: Yana Santos lost to Irene Aldana and Holly Holm. A few hardcore MMA fans remember that up kick to the liver from Irene Aldana and Yana Santos. Crazy, crazy TKO. And Holly Holm just destroyed her on the Sean O'Malley Cheeto Vera card. And her most notable win is Ketlin Vieira. Um, I think it was decision win. How will they win or lose? Win. She's gonna win with control time or lose by decision. I really think it's one or the other. Chances of winning, I give her a 55% chance of winning. Carl Rosa lost to Sarah McMahon, Norma Dumont. Most notable wins: Beth Correa. Chance of winning 45%. She's gonna win decision win with pressure on the feet, lose by decision with control time. Stylistic matchup: Yana Santos has 8 fights in the UFC with a record of 4-4, and had 3 of those 4 losses were by TKO, and all of her wins have come by decision. And Carlos has a very similar record with 7 fights, going 5-2, all by decision. This fight feels it's like for my prediction, I said this fight feels like it's mostly definitely going to be a decision. I think if Yana Santos has even the slightest grappling edge over Carrosa, she needs to use it to get a win, and I think that's how the fight will go. All right, the next fight we have Joe Anderson Brito versus Westlin Wilson. Interesting name. Joe Anderson Brito His last fight was against Billy Aljo. Um, he lost that fight. Um, and his most notable wins are against Diego Lopes, who, if you guys saw it, was on the North card, the UFC 288, and had a crazy, unbelievable fight against um, Moscar, I believe that was his name. Incredible fighter. Um, a lot of heart by Diego Lopes, and that makes it even better for Joe Anderson Brito to beat him. I think he beat him on the Contender Series. Very impressive, and he also beat Andre Fili. How would they win or lose? I think Joe Anderson, if he's gonna win by ground and pound TKO, or if he could find the sub. I give him an 80% chance of winning. Westlin Wilson, this is his UFC debut. I think his last fight was on a promotion called Tough and Rough. I don't know what the fuck that is. But we'll see. This he's making his UFC debut. He's an older guy, late mid 30s. Um, I think Joe Anderson he lost his opponent, and they're just bringing Westlin in for a replacement. But it could be a good opportunity for him to get some spotlight. And I give him. First let me get to how he could win or lose. I said a wide open submission win or somehow gets control time for a decision, and I give him a chance of winning 20%. It's a featherweight matchup, and I said Brito was a well-rounded fighter. For the stylistic matchup, I said Brito was a well-rounded fighter. 6 KOs, slash TKO, 6 subs, and had one of each of his 3 fights stand in the UFC so far. Had a finish in all 3 of his fights. And from his record, he's very BJJ aggressive with 11 pro subs and only losing by sub 4 times, and that's for Weston Wilson. He has a lot of experience. He's very BJJ aggressive, like I said, like a lot of subs, but I don't think he's going to be able to sub or even control Joe Anderson Brito. Prediction: Joe Anderson Brito by sub or possible tap to strikes. All right, now huge fight. This is a huge fight. I think it's the feature prelim. I think I'm not even sure, but it's Kevin Lee versus Renat. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name, but Kevin Lee versus Renat welterweight matchup. Kevin Lee, his recent losses in the UFC were against Daniel Rodriguez and Charles Oliveira. Says it right there. Incredibly good fighters, and his most recent win was against Diego Sanchez in Eagle FC. Not that impressive, but I'm gonna get into that. How will they win or lose? I think if he's gonna lose, he's gonna win by decision, or if he's gonna win, he's gonna try to find a sub. For Renat, his most notable win against Brian Battle, the tough season 29 winner. Um, for the middleweights, and Brian Battle actually moved down. How they win or lose, Renat's most likely option to win is by taking it to a decision in the stand-up, or lose somehow by sub. And I give him a 70% chance of winning. Um, Now let's get into the stylistic matchup for the fight. Kevin Lee is a good wrestler with very impressive submission skills. 8 subs on his record, but Renat has never been subbed and has finished 16 out of his 20. And 11 of those are by TKO. I believe that Renat is more likely going to win because it's a 50% chance he gets TKO'd or the UD win. That's what I say. 50% chance. Um, opinion. My opinion on Kevin Lee. He's fought some of the greatest fighters in the UFC. He's on the active roster, and he's lost to a lot of middle roster guys for a very, very long time. I'm not saying Charles is a middle roster guy, but D-Rod. Um, and then he went to go fight Diego Sanchez to a decision when guys like Matt Brown, who are in their 40s, are destroying Diego Sanchez, like knocking him out cold. And he took Diego to a decision, 3-round decision, and it wasn't that impressive. He claims it was because of his knee, and Diego attacked that knee because he knew it was injured, and that's why it wasn't that impressive. But the UFC obviously wanted him back, and he wanted to get back to the UFC, and they're not giving him any favors with Renat. But he said himself he wants to fight the best fighters in the world, and this is his time. I think if he beats Renat, he should get a ranking or somewhere up there, or definitely a next fight for a high ranking at least. But we'll see. Um, I hope Kevin Lee wins, but I don't predict he actually does. Here's a good fight too. The next fight, Nursultan Uzbimov versus Bruno Fiera. For Nursultan, this is his UFC debut, and I think if Nursal, yeah, can't even pronounce this guy's fucking name. If Nursultan were to take away Bruno's O, it would be by sub or lose by TKO. That's and his chances of winning, I give him a 55% chance of winning. Notable wins for Bruno Ferreira. Gregory Rodriguez in his debut. Incredible fight. I like Gregory Rodriguez. I really do like Gregory Rodriguez. And Bruno Ferreira, he hit him with like what a and then boom, hit him right over with a left hook. He like was like feinting shots, and Gregory bit on every single one, and then he hit him with the left hook, knocked him out cold. Beautiful performance. Um, and how are they going? When are they going to lose? I think if Bruno makes a mistake on the ground, he can most definitely get caught in the sub. If he has good takedown defenses, using his feints to set up his shots, he will win. If he just did what he did against Gregory Rodriguez and sets up his shots good against Nursultan, he's gonna get it. I give him a 45% chance of winning. The fight, it's at middleweight, stylistic matchup. Bruno is a great well-rounded fighter with an undefeated record and a 100% finish rate. He's great on the feet, but I do not believe he's faced an opponent with the grappling accolades as Nursultan. Nursultan has 34 wins, 32 finishes, and 20 of them have come by sub, and is on an 8-fight win streak currently. Prediction: I think Bruno will do everything in his power to keep the fight on the feet, but I think it's most definitely going to end up on the ground, where Nursultan's going to get the UD or sub. The sub might be hard to get. I really do believe that, but I'm pushing for Bruno. Pushing for Bruno Ferreira. All right. Now, if you guys saw my Twitter, I did post something about how this next fight, is the closest fight on the entire card, in my personal opinion. I This fight is against Ismael Bonfim and Benoit Saint Denis. Um, for Ismael Bonfim, his most recent win was an insane flying knee to Terrence McKinney, knocked him out cold in his debut. In his debut, crazy. And how am I gonna think Ismail's gonna win? I said Ismail has 3 losses, all by sub, and if he's gonna lose it, it would be by sub. If he's going to win, he's got to find a shot that possibly could put Benoit out and pressure him to a decision. Chances of winning 50%. Now let's get to Benoit. Last performances, he's a 2-fight win streak against Gabriel Miranda and Nicholas Stoltz. If Benoit gets caught, it would be with a really good time shot. He possibly get dragged to a TKO or dragged to a decision. But if he wins, he finds an opportunity to get the sub, he will get it. And chances of winning 50%. This is a lightweight matchup, and the stylistic matchup. This is where my 50% chances of winning for each one came in. Stylistic matchup. This is the closest fight on the whole card, in my opinion, because Ismail has 19 wins, 13 by finish, but 3 losses all the way by sub. Saint Denis has a 100% finish win rate with eight out of the 10 being subs. So it's one of those things where grappler, heavy grappler, good accolades, and the strong striker with insanely good accolades as well on the feet. And the prediction: this is such a close fight, but I'll give a slight edge to Saint Denis because of how many subs he has and because he's French. All right. Next fight, we got Ariane Lipski versus Melissa Gatto. Ariane Lipski, her last performances were a win against JJ Aldrich and her most recent loss, Priscilla Cachoeira by TKO. How would they win or lose? Ariane, she were to lose, would be by KO. If she were to win, definitely be by scraping by decision. I give her a 40% chance of winning. For Melissa Gatto, last loss was against Tracy Cortez, a UD loss, and her most notable win, Sajara Eubanks by TKO. How's Melissa Gatto going to win or lose? All right. She gets hurt on the feet. She could definitely lose by decision. To win, she got to look for the KO because Lipski has lost by KO 4 times, I think, within the UFC. And I give her a 60% chance of winning. For the fight, women's flyweight, um, stylistic matchup. Lipsky is a decently well-rounded fighter with 3 subs and 6 KO wins. Melissa Gatto is a good BJJ fighter with TKO finishes inside of the UFC, and Lipsky has never been subbed. So I give it to Melissa Gatto by decision, but if Lipsky gives up the shot, she could get KO'd. So we'll see. Next fight, Max Griffin versus Michael Morales. Interesting fight. Both really good fighters. I think this is the third fight from the main event. Yep, pretty sure. Yep. Max Griffin, most notable win: Tim Means, Carlos Condit, two kind of like seasoned veteran guys, but still really good opponents. And for his most important loss, is Neil Magny. Pretty good fight though. If Max is going to lose, he's going to be taken to a decision or TKO'd. Even if his last time being finished was against Colby Covington back in 2016, Max is gonna, if he's gonna win by somehow catching Morales with a crazy shot. So I give him a 20% chance of winning this fight. Last performances from Michael Morales. Michael Morales, he's undefeated. I think he's 14-0. His last wins were against Adam Fugit and Trevin Giles. Chances of winning, I give him 80% chance of winning. And the only way I see Morales is going to lose is with a crazy shot. If he gets cracked with a crazy shot, and he's most likely going to go to a decision. If decision win, if he were to get the job done, it'd be very hard to finish Max Griffin for sure. And for the fight, this is a welterweight matchup. Stylistically, Griffin's very aggressive striker. Always tries to close the distance. He's got 19 wins, 9 by TKO, 8 by decision, showing that he could even last, even if he tries to get to the finish. If he doesn't get the finish, he could still last and get the win. Morales is an undefeated fighter with 14 wins, 11 KOs, and he's more technical striker and has only went to a decision twice in his career for a win. Prediction: I firmly believe that Morales will be the next person to finish Max Griffin inside the UFC octagon. Second round TKO. All right, now we move on to the co-main event. We got Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson. For Damir Ismagulov, his most notable win was Guram Kutlaze. It was a split decision. And Rafael Alves. His most recent loss was against Arman Yukran, who is an incredible fighter, who we all know kind of pieced up Islam. Um, it was a very good fight with Islam, and how is he going to win or lose? I think Damir is if he's going to lose, it's going to be by decision from control time, and his chances of winning, I give him a 60% chance of winning. This is a very close fight as well, because they're like it's a grappler striker. And this is why it's really close. Grant Dawson, most recent wins: Marco Madsen and Jared Gordon. Marco Madsen's, I think, was a silver medalist, Olympic wrestler. Jared Gordon, really good striker in the UFC. How will they win or lose? If Grant's gonna lose, it would be by being pieced up on the feet, or possibly even TKO'd. But he's gonna have a big. He's gonna have to dig deep for that sub, or get control time. I give him a 40% chance of winning. For the fight, the stylistic matchup, Damir's a great stand-up fighter with 24 wins, coming by way KO, TKO, and it's kind of the opposite for Dawson because he has 19 wins, 13 coming by way of sub. Um, and for the prediction, this fight's very close. But the way I look at it, Grant has finished good strikers and wrestlers in the inside the UFC octagon. I do not believe that he has faced somebody with Damir's skill set. I'm looking at Damir's last fight with Arman Yukran. He went to a decision where he was dominated on the ground and he was never submitted. So for this fight, I'm going to have to go with Damir Ismagulov by decision, but there's a great chance for me being wrong. You never know. We could definitely say I'd be definitely excited for that, 100% excited for that, if that does happen. Now we go to the main event. Very interesting fight here. We got Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. Okay, so I want to break down kind of Sean's last performances, his last loss and his last win. I'll do that same thing for Abus. So looking at Sean Strickland, his last performance against Derek Cannonier, he was pressuring forward and he found opportunities for grappling exchanges. Up against the fence in the first round, but the forward moving pressure was primarily just with his jab. He was just using his jab. He wasn't throwing that many combos. Sean, like, that's like his whole setup. Like, he throws combos, but he was too scared to open up. And in that, he was getting countered, and Jared was just landing heavy leg kicks, unanswered leg kicks, and he was just getting caught. Then Sean started to feint more. He started to feint more in the third round of their fight. He started hitting with more combos, but his downfall in that fight was his sloppy blocking when pressuring, making Jared land more powerful, damaging shots. That's how he lost this fight. And then his last fight against Nasruddin Imavov, um, Imavov came in out throwing shots in a very karate style stance with really fast jabs early in the fight. Was catching Sean with overhands and hooks just like Jared did. And Sean won this fight with his leg kicks and more aggressive combos, up close and catching him off on the back foot and when disengaging. So when we get to the chances of winning this fight, in my eyes, I think the chances for Sean to win is about 70%. And here's why I think that. For Sean to win, he just has to keep the pressure style with his jab, boxing combos. He's got a combo. He's got to use his jab. He's got a beautiful jab, and you just got to keep on using it and then find the combos and keep Abus moving backwards. You can't allow him to gain any ground or any takedowns, or his flying kicks or his knees. Abu's very heavy. He presses a lot with his kicks. That's where it's at, and he cannot allow Abus to get any of that with his leg kicks, and he just cannot compromise his movement like he did against Jared, or it will end up being a long night for Sean. I don't think Abus would, if he were to win, I don't think he would be able to finish him. He would probably take him to a decision. Um, for Abus, his last loss was against Lewis Taylor. Lewis Taylor is Bilal Muhammad's coach. Abu's last loss came by way in the middleweight finale in the PFL back in 2018. He got knocked out cold. He just kept on moving forward, and then Lewis Taylor caught him with a left hook within 30 seconds of the first round. This is a definite weapon for Sean. Sean could definitely use the left hook to catch Abus on the back foot, and I think he could definitely use that to his advantage. Um, Abus Magomedov has a one fight in the UFC. His UFC debut against Dustin Stolfus. He finished him within the first 20 seconds of their fight. He front kicked him in the mouth, and then hit him with a nice uppercut and sat him down and finished him there. I really don't think he's gonna catch Sean with a front kick or anything like that. And I would give Abus about a 30% chance of winning this fight. How's Abus gonna win or lose? If he is somehow able to catch Sean with a front kick or a flying knee of some sort, that could definitely set up opportunities for a TKO. But Abus overthrows too much. He could definitely be the one waking up from the canvas instead of Sean. And now we get to the fight. The stylistic matchup. Sean is a strong pressure boxer. As many of you guys know, if you've watched any of Sean Strickland's fights, that's what he is. Strong pressure boxer. And he's great at countering and making his opponent second guess. Along with that, he's consistently using his jab to set up his devastating combos. And Abus is also a pressure fighter, but he implements his kicks and his knees more, with a lot of jumping attacks. And prediction. Looking at how effective both of these men's styles are, I would give this fight to Sean because I strongly believe that Abus throws a lot of shots that just land a few. He overthrows so much and he only lands a few shots in that process. And Sean is most definitely going to use that against him and piece him up on the feet. My prediction is Sean Strickland by decision. But also, I want to give my opinion on this fight. I don't really understand why many fighters in the lower rankings would turn down a fight with Abus Magomedov. Abus is a dangerous fighter on the feet. There's no doubt about it. But he isn't really like any of those other Dagestani guys. He has good ground game. He's a good ground game, decent ground game. But he's a real hard time maintaining control and finishing off the ground. His fight against Sada Busi, back in 2018 as well, in the PFL, he was able to take Sada Busi down a lot. And Sada Busi, he's a great fighter, great kickboxer. He just had an insane spinning heel kick KO in his most recent PFL fight. If you guys want to go check that out, highlight reel KO, amazing. And he had Sada Busi in arm triangle that was tight. A rear naked choke. It looked like it was locked in, and he was not able to finish it. I think Abus is a great fighter and very entertaining, but he's not like a Khabib or an Islam. The level of opponent, he's just not that tough of an opponent. That's the end of the video. This is the UFC on ESPN, Sean Strickland versus Magomedov, July 1st. Incredible good fight. Really good fights on this card. Hopefully, I help some of you guys out there. Maybe put some ideas in your guys' head about the fight. So be safe. Game on.